Operation Cheer Myself Up has commenced. So, where are we now? I'm pretty sure some of you can read my mind right now. So I'm going to try speaking, and maybe what comes out of my mouth will match what's in my mind, or it'll be, I don't know, we'll find out. So, where am I right now? It's not going to take me long to record this. I just want to do this and then get on with my day. It's crazy to think that May is almost over, which also means the school year is almost over. I think there's like a week and a half left, or maybe only a week left, which is wild to me. But also great. I like summer because you don't have to deal with the school year and the schedule and blah, blah, blah. It's nice to sleep in. It's nice to just be in a whole different flow of life. So we'll see how that goes. I'm still trying to get out of here. I mean, I'm in a great place. I like being here. It's great. But I'm also ready to experience something else, and I don't know where that is or when that's exactly happening. So many different variables to consider, or maybe not so many, but enough variables to consider that I am unsure at the moment. So as of a week ago, my brain was sold on Greece. Yeah, that was amazing. And then as of yesterday, it moved on to Morocco. However, Morocco could simply just happen before Greece. That's very much a possibility. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So we're finishing up by we, Liam and I, or more specifically, he has unfinished assignments that he needs to complete in order to get a grade for these assignments to improve his grade. You get the point, right? I mean, if you're a parent or you've been through school, like, you get it. So need to get comfortable. So, for one of the assignments, he had this story to read about, it doesn't even matter what it was about, but it took place in Morocco, and they had these argan trees, or these fruits that grew on the argan trees, which I believe is where they get the argan oil from, because they like mash the seeds, or maybe they mash the fruit. I don't know. I should probably know, since I actually watched a video on this yesterday. But that wasn't where my mind was going. My mind was just thinking like, oh, Morocco would be a really cool place. And then I just started like researching flights and Airbnb and different options. But what was cool is that these goats, I believe they were goats. Again, I don't really remember the details. But I think these goats would climb the trees in order to eat the fruits. And that's just an incredible sight and an incredible thought, to think like, oh, you see a bunch of goats just hanging out in a tree. And so we completed the assignment, and then like less than an hour later, I'm just relaxing in bed, watching a video that had just posted literally 50 minutes earlier, which was probably about the same time when we had started the assignment. And it's this girl / woman, same thing, but anyway, I have a thing with girl, woman title. So, Mary Jane Byarm, anyway, it doesn't matter. Mary Jane, she is visiting her, I feel like this can't be accurate. I think this is like her 110th country that she's visiting. But I feel like she's been to Morocco many times, so that can't totally be correct. Whatever. Anyway, she's in Morocco right now, and the intro to the video is literally seeing these goats in a tree. A bunch of them. And I was just like, oh my goodness. Oh, wow, what a sign. And I found that to be somewhat serendipitous. And then also at the same time, earlier in the week, I was thinking about making butter. I've never made butter before. I don't have everything I need to make butter any longer. I had heavy cream to make the butter, but then I ended up using it to make grits, like really creamy grits. I highly recommend, by the way. And so, but in my head earlier in the week, or maybe it was literally like the day before, I was thinking maybe I should buy some more heavy cream and maybe I should make some butter. But anyway, so someone I follow went live, and it was just like a little Q&A while she makes butter. And I'm like, huh, how funny. So anyway, I feel like that was a nice moment. I kind of needed that at the time. I was having a very just like blah day. It kind of seems like today is an extension of yesterday, but yet not. Like, I'm not as blah, but I'm still just like, I don't know, kind of jaded by everything and disheartened. It'll pass. So yeah, but I don't know. Do I really want to go to Morocco? I don't know. So that's where I am on the travel / summer front. I don't know how I'm going to feel about editing this video. Like, this is just not flowing. I'm not enjoying my energy right now. But I do want to kind of chat, but I feel like I've already did all the chatting I need to do in my head. Okay, so I feel like a change of environment might help. So let's talk journals, shall we? Where am I with that? So I don't really have a great concept of time. So I'm pretty sure it was last month. I may have even started a little bit earlier than last month. But anyway, So here's my thinking on what has gone down. I reached out to a bunch of YouTubers, and I specifically reached out to people that had content relevant to law of assumption and yeah, things of that nature. So I'm not going to go into like massive detail on this because I mean, like, I know everything surrounding it, and yeah. But for the most part, that's what happened. And I heard back from a few of them, which is great. So at the time when I reached out to them, I was still producing all of the journals by hand. And it takes time. It literally takes me about like 10 minutes per journal to make them. Am I wrong? I feel like I'm wrong about that. It might take 10, it might take 30, it might take an hour. I don't know. It takes time. That's a big range of time, but when I make them, I usually like to make a batch of them at a time. So yeah, but if I break it down I think each one takes about 10 minutes to do. So naturally, maybe not naturally, but for me at least, I don't want to spend that kind of time just making a bunch of journals. Like, it's exciting the first couple times because it's like, oh my God, look what I made. This is so cool. Like, it's exciting. And that's literally how I basically feel about it. But I mean, that's kind of how I feel about any new thing that I'm creating. It's just kind of like, oh, wow, what do we have here? What if we do this? What if we try this? Or what else can we do? And at this point, I love them. I absolutely love them. I love using them. I love the look, the feel. I even ordered new paper to make them in, and I love that too, probably even more. So the possibilities are just incredible. But yeah, I need new variables in place in order to maintain, probably the same, my excitement for them. Hence why I reached out to a bunch of YouTubers, because I felt like their audience would appreciate these journals. Many of them in the law of assumption community, or just many of the people that we reached out to, they talk about journaling. They talk about mindset and improving the way you see yourself and confidence and journaling in general. And they recommend to people like, oh, journal about this. This is how I journal, blah, 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 blah. But I created a journal for them to use. So I felt that it was a beautiful pairing. And also, I felt like it was a really nice pairing considering they already created wonderful content that supported the journal that I made. And so I like that approach. Now, I could go ahead and create a bunch of content similar to what they've created and, use that to help sell the journals. But that's not what I want to spend my time talking about all the time. I feel like there's so many other great content out there that's already doing a great job selling, and people that are great at it. Why do I have to do it? I don't want to do it. I'm very creative, and I just want to make things. I love brainstorming. I like finding solutions. I like the process, the unfolding of it all. Like, that is my jam. That's where I want to focus my zone of genius. I don't want to sit here talking about the same thing over and over and over and over, which some of them, especially ones that are coaching or that are coaches, they do talk about the same shit over and over and over again. And I see them getting bored talking about the same shit over and over and over again. I'm even bored listening to them now. Which is why I don't really listen to them now. But when I need something to listen to, I'm just sort of like, I gravitate towards that because it feels good. It's not draining. It's just, yeah, it's just kind of like a wonderful reminder. And I enjoy that. I enjoy it a lot. So yeah, there's that. I did that. Also, as I mentioned, at the time, I was making these by hand. I knew that I did not want to make these by hand. So I had been looking into how to have these produced. Now, many options surrounding that too. I could literally, which I already had someone available to make these for me. But again, it takes time to make these. So I knew that there was a faster way to go about doing it, which is why I started looking into having die cuts made. I knew that that was a possibility, like that can be done. So I reached out to a few places, like print shops and such, and they said that yes, that's how you would go about doing it. And they said they would, look into that for me. Now, they couldn't do it specifically themselves because they need to have the die cuts custom made. And yeah, so he's like, I'll get back to you. And I feel like that's like a recurring thing. Oh, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. I'm going to contact you in such and such a number of days, blah, blah, blah. And I don't hear from anyone. And so I'm calling, I'm stopping by, I'm, doing what I feel I need to do, and I'm not getting any results, which is just very frustrating. It's frustrating when you create something. It's just frustrating. Anyway, so I reached out to another place, and which the annoying part, like her response was, like her immediate response was like, this is going to be very expensive. And I'm like, okay. That's not what I asked you. I didn't ask, like, I need a quote. Can I have a fucking quote? Can you give me an idea? Like, what are we looking at? And she's like, well, how many do you want? How many do you need? I'm like, I'm going to need a lot of these, but I need to get a sense of, like, a starting point. What am I looking at? What questions do you need to ask me to be able to help me? So anyway, I haven't heard back from her. She has my product, which essentially the other thing that irritates me is that I've had my work stolen in the past. And it hurts, it pisses me off. And it's one of those things where people are like, oh, well, you should you could protect yourself. You could trademark things, and you could get a lawyer and send a cease and desist and blah, 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 blah. And I just don't feel like that's a valuable use of my time. I have other things I'd rather be doing with my life than sitting around chasing after people being like, stop stealing my shit. And also I have so many, this one project, this one idea, this is not the only thing I'm ever going to create. So, I could sit here and you get what I'm saying. If you don't, I don't care. I don't want to talk about it anymore. So there's that. So then I figured, okay, I don't feel like following up with this person. Clearly they're not interested in doing this. If they were, then they would reach out to me, which they're probably busy. A lot of print shops are busy, and I'm happy for them, but I'd like you to be busy with my stuff too. And it's like, are you discrediting me because you think, and I'm just not interested in trying to convince people of shit. I don't care. You either get it or you don't. And maybe that's not, I don't care. Doesn't matter. So I started looking at, okay, well, let me look at some other options. Since where we're being held up in this process is literally with the die cuts. And these places that I'm speaking to, they do not make the die cuts. They have to reach out to a third party, have the die cuts made, and then they can do what they need to do. But I guess what I'm gathering from this, in order for the die cuts to be made anyway, there needs to be a digital rendering of the concept, and then you go from there. So, which is where I'm kind of annoyed, because I'm like, okay, now that you have my product, you can make the digital rendering, you can do all of this, and then, you can sell them and do whatever you want. And I don't mind that as long as I'm being paid for what I've done. Like, that's the issue, loop me in on this. So I found, actually a couple things happened yesterday that I was super excited about. I think at some point I'll be able to appreciate all of this excitement. At the moment, I'm just not. I feel like all I'm able to do is just cry because Yeah, my mind is just going to places and I'm just feeling my feelings and feeling my thoughts. And I'm just like, that's just what's happening right now. And I know eventually I'll be past this point and everything will be fine. But at the moment, apparently, this is what I feel like doing. So, so anyway, good news is I found some places that make custom die cuts. Also, something that I had looked into before and I didn't stumble on this company before. I didn't find these products before, and I have been down this road before, and these companies are not new at all. So they've been around for more than a decade, which I find very interesting, and which is also partly where I'm just sort of like, okay, I'm not completely freaking out and I'm not completely pissed off. I mean, I am just because that's where I am right now. But beyond this, I'm just sort of like, okay, how interesting is it that a year or two ago, when I was looking for a solution similar to this, I couldn't find this specific resource. However, it existed. And yesterday I went into the search, and what I found were resources that were completely different to anything I had ever found before. So if more time goes by, or even today or tomorrow or in an hour, I might find resources that, again, just somehow either weren't available to me, or I don't know. I don't know how this happens. I don't know why this happens. But here we are now. So we're revisiting one of my favorite questions, which you probably don't know this is my favorite question. But it's what's possible now, and where are we now, and what's available now. There's a reason those are my favorite questions, because the answers are always different. And this can happen throughout the day. It can happen, it doesn't matter, but they are my favorite questions. And the more you hang out with me, they will probably be your favorite questions too. So what I find very interesting is that before I was wondering, okay, like I can do die cuts myself. And essentially the only resource I have currently for die cuts is my Cricut maker, whatever it's called. Basically it's a Cricut, it's one of their lines. And, but it's not like a steel plate die cut. It has a little like knife thing and it cuts things out according to your specifications. But I need something more accurate than that and less cumbersome. The machine is incredible, but it's also a huge pain in the ass to use, and I'm not interested in that. Honestly, half the time it's just a lot easier to do everything by hand than actually use the machine. Like when it works, and yeah, it's great, but it has its limitations. So when I had looked into doing die cuts at home, most of the machines that I found were like small units. And yeah, it didn't seem that great. And so commercially, when you're doing the die cuts, they can do layers of paper at a time. And for some of these things that I'm seeing, it's like, oh, you can do one sheet at a time. And that's just not efficient. That's not how I want to spend my time. Now I could pay someone to spend their time in that way, which again, that is an option. So anyway, this machine that I found, it does exactly what I need it to, and it can do multiple sheets of paper, which is fabulous. But, okay, so the other interesting thing, there's the machine that uses the die cuts, and it like goes through, I'm just gonna call it machine. It goes through the machine. But then I need to have the actual die cuts made. And there's another company that I have to go through, which I believe the company that owns the machines, they bought the company, or they're connected. They are connected in some way. They're all under like one umbrella. And so this company that makes the custom die cuts, in order to get a quote, and I need to call them, but at the moment I'm fuming about this because in order to get a quote, or so it seems on their website, you have to submit everything on the website. And they have these like boxes for you to check that basically state that you agree to, like, basically I'm giving them permission to use, like, they can reproduce my products. They can reproduce them. They can make their own die cuts. They can use them. They can do whatever they want. They can make variations of them. And I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with that. Like, why would I ever be okay with that? Who would be okay with that? I'm like, you know, that doesn't make me feel cute. I'm a Leo. I want my credit. Like, I want everyone to know that I made this. I did this. This is mine. Like, I take very big issue with that. So at the moment, I'm fuming because this is the best option that I found at the moment, given my other dilemma. And I have anything involving a print shop at this point makes me want to break down crying. It's just a very sore topic for me. I'm not going to get into that story now, but it's just, and so I feel like because I have so much energy behind everything related to printing, might be why I'm just running into more and more problems, but I don't know how to correct that. And I don't know if I need to correct that. I don't know if I'm ready to correct that. I don't know. And I don't want to overthink it. But, so yeah, so I'm going to have to do some more searching. I like this machine that I'm coming across, and I feel like it's pricey. It's very pricey. It's very pricey. It's around, like, and I guess if you factor in taxes and such, it's around like $700 for the machine itself. And then I guess the die cut might be around another like 200, 300. I have no idea. I don't know yet because I need to get a fucking quote. So, but in order to get a quote, I have to hand over all of my stuff, and that, like, no fucking thank you. No. Are you shitting me? No. Which, while I'm in this state of like, no and no thank you, you know, so I had reached out to a few YouTubers, and some of them supposedly have like management companies and such that that they work with. And I'm all for that. I get that. That's great. By the way, I'm available. Like, I'm okay with that. You want to set something up? Let's make that happen. So anyway, I'm not an email person. I don't like communicating via email. Like, it's a fucking waste of my time. I can have a 5-10 minute conversation with you, and that's a lot faster and straight to the point than writing an email and then reading your email. I get a short email reply back that doesn't answer my questions. It doesn't do anything. And it's like, I have other things to do with my life. You want to send this email to me? It's just, it's infuriating. I understand it's a method. It works. Like, no. So dude's asking me, basically saying, oh yeah, you know, the budget is $35,000 to $45,000 for a full video, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm just sort of like, okay, you're not giving me enough information. And I requested, you know, like, clearly you have questions and I have questions. Like, can we just get on the phone and have a conversation? Apparently either he's too busy or whatever, but he wants to like keep everything in email. I'm like, no, thank you. There's no way in this world that I'm giving some random person $35,000 to $45,000 from an email. No, thank you. No, thank you. You belong in my spam folder. So, yeah, no, thank you. So, and my other rationale behind it is that, look, I can run ads. I can run targeted ads to specific videos that are relevant to what I'm selling. And I can have funnels in place. I don't need to spend $35,000 to $45,000 get mentioned in one single video. Like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I felt like it was more of a courtesy and just a better placement to go ahead and work with the content creator instead of just running ads to their things, because, you know, you're getting pennies. You get pennies from my ad. Whereas you could actually get more money from that. Now, I don't mind the 35 to 45,000 if I'm actually seeing a real return, if I'm getting something out of it too, but no, thank you. No, that's, no, thank you. Where's the proof? Where's the value in that? Like, I don't, no, no, no. Like, I'm a small company at this point, so maybe this is just not the route for me to take, and it is what it is. So yeah, so that's my rant. So at the moment, I still do not want to make these journals by hand. I am contemplating getting a machine and having die cuts made and just doing everything myself. The other reason why I wanted to focus on content creators on YouTube is because they have a larger audience. And I feel like when it comes to selling and creating an event, because, okay, a couple things. I feel like you're behind on so much because I don't share a lot. So with the journals, I wanted to have some sort of live event component added to the actual journals. I just think that's kind of nice, and it's just different. Not necessarily different in the sense like, oh my God, this has never been done before. I'm sure it has. But I like the idea of giving someone a journal and then walking them through this journey with them, where it's like maybe a week-long event where we're going on a mental diet together, and like you get to experience all of these ahas and all of these amazing changes. You get to share, you get to ask questions, and I felt like that was a lot more valuable than just the journal itself. Now, this is something I can still continue to do, but I just felt like it made a lot more sense to do it with someone else who has an audience, so we can get more numbers, more people involved. And if I have more people involved, more people that are purchasing the journals, then it makes more sense to work with a commercial printer, because then I can meet their minimum order. Because when you're working with a commercial printer, most of the time they have a minimum quantity that they want to, like, it just makes sense. I don't know how to verbalize that, but so I felt like that would be the easiest way. I don't want to have a bunch of inventory sitting around. I change the content of these journals and different things all the time, and ideally what I thought would be cool is if I'm working with different content creators or YouTubers, they each have their own sort of perspective, their own sort of like flavor of how they see things. And I thought that, okay, great. If we're working with Mia, then we have like Mia's take on this. And so the journals would have Mia's influence on this. And if we're working with, like Kim, then Kim's journal would have a very different look and feel. And, it's just, hopefully that makes sense. I don't have the words for it because my mind is already going on to other things. But so that being the case, I don't want to just make like, a million of these, not literally a million of these, but I don't want to make a whole bunch of just like one singular thing when I can change them. And I make these. I could do whatever I want with them. So that's where I am. I like to do what I want. I have a vision in mind, and that vision may change, but at the moment, this is where it is. So I don't know. I'm also just kind of like, I'm ready to move on from the journals. I'm ready for another project, something else. I'm sewing. I mean, I'm always sewing. That's nothing new. But so I have some ideas surrounding the sewing stuff. Or maybe I'll just table everything. Maybe I don't know. I don't know where I am or what's going to happen, but I guess that's the best way to say like, oh, that's where I am right now. I am researching, I just need to figure out how to get the die cuts made. And so I need to figure that out, because the die cuts they're made, I'm assuming, I'm still trying to figure this out. See, still things to figure it out. I guess there are different types of die cuts that can be made and different materials that they use to make the die cuts. And then certain die cuts are only specific to certain machines. So I guess I need to figure out what type of die cut to get and what type of machine can use those die cuts. And if I'm making a die cut that I'm using for in-home use, is it something that can also be used commercially, or is that product specific, machine specific? These are things I need to figure out. So I have some phone calls to make, and I need to find some like reputable places and people, and hopefully get a quick turnaround on all of these things. And yeah, so the other thing I'm thinking is that if I have the machines at home to make them myself, then that's great, because if I have smaller orders, then I can just take care of it myself. And then for bigger orders, I can just send that to a print shop. Now, this does mean I need to find an actual print shop that I trust and like, and they can actually deliver. So far, locally, which this whole fucking shop local is like BS. You guys suck. You guys really, really suck. Or maybe you suck just for me. So, I don't know. Does that also mean like, oh, yay, more reasons or excuses to leave? Maybe not. Maybe that's not the right approach. But yeah, I'm just not happy with a lot of things at the moment. I have plenty of things to be happy about. My mind isn't totally there at the moment, so hopefully once I'm done recording this, my mind can return back to that place, or something new will come about. Oh, something that was really cool that is in a happy place. After finding, so I got really excited when I found the die cut machine, and I don't know what else to call it. I'm sure there's probably a better name, but the die cut machine, the thing that you roll the die cuts through, and the custom die cuts. And when I realized like, oh my God, this is so simple, like this does exist, this is a better solution, it made me revisit some previous projects of mine where I kind of ran into some roadblocks around like, oh, some other options for how to make it, or just, yeah, in that realm. And so what's amazing is that, oh, I can literally reopen some of these other projects and move forward with them, or reimagine them. So that's kind of cool. But then at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth thinking about that. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm also excited because new opportunities are always presenting themselves to me, and it's a whole new day, a whole new week. Something else will come about next week. So yeah, so for now we're just in a place. We're in a place. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, literally 5 minutes ago, according to the timestamp, an email from the print shop with a quote has come through. I haven't opened it yet, but I'm just sort of like, again, reviewing my questions of like, oh, where are we now? What's available now? What's possible? So, we'll see. My hopes. I'm worried. I'm nervous about speaking my hopes because I don't know. I guess to be continued. Okay, it's a couple minutes later. I have finally opened the email, and it's promising. It is very promising. It is very affordable. Yeah, I feel like this could be a good route to take. I'm also a little nervous about this because I felt this way before regarding print shops. So hopefully this time around we can like, I'm I have enough experience to know what type of questions to ask. Hopefully, I have no idea. I have no idea, but my concern surrounding this is turnaround time. In the past, you know, they always say the turnaround time is such and such, and things always end up going much longer than that. So I think I just need to expect, like, oh, shit's just gonna take longer than you think it's gonna take. Just be okay with that. But I'm happy if things actually get completed, you know? So the last time, without getting into a big long story, something that would have been a few days somehow took like a month or longer, and they just completely fucked it up. Like completely. Um, yeah, it was not pretty. So, yeah, this is very reasonable. The minimum order is like quantity makes sense. Like it's small. It's only the minimum is 250. So I'm okay with that. I'm quite happy with that. I can do a lot with that. Um, yeah. So I'm thinking I can go ahead and pursue that route for now because it's quick and convenient. And assuming the other thing I really like about it is that I don't physically have to do it myself. Now, with me wanting to travel and just not be in the house making stuff, that is ideal. That is ideal. You know, I can have someone fold and package and do all that stuff for me. Or if I'm around, I can do that too. But I'm glad we are able to end on a better note. On a better note. So yeah, we'll see. So I am a little curious. I am a little curious. I'm curious to know. Yeah, so anyway, I will meet with her and find out more information about this. Um, so the other thing I'm curious about, given the price that she gave me, that would also mean that it includes the die cut. So then once the die cut is made, like that's a one-time fee for the die cut. So printing going forward should be much cheaper than what it is right now, which is very exciting because what it is right now is just uh life-changing. Like literally life-changing. What a beautiful moment. So I'm going to get ahead of myself. I'm going to get ahead of myself and just be very, very happy and excited. I have in the past said, like, oh, let's not get ahead of ourselves now. You know, something could happen, blah, blah, blah. And maybe something might happen. But as far as I'm concerned, this is a step in a direction, an ideal direction. So